Tyson Fury shows up 20 pounds heavy. Now, I got to tell you, this brought me a real stress. And I think it's been clear over time. I'm a Fury fan. I think that's very clear. But Fury has the right. I have the right to have a bias towards Tyson. And Tyson has the right to have me on his side. He has brought us a tremendous level of entertainment. Hey, he is an entertainer in boxing. Tell me another one. And if you really thought hard, you could, but you would tell me Floyd, and I would argue with you Floyd's not a boxer anymore. Right? I mean, Fury has done more in terms of entertaining us. He will do his best if a camera's on to entertain you. That might sound simple. There's not many people that will do that. Colby will do that. O'Malley will do that. Conor will do that. I mean, you can't keep going. There's not a lot of people that respect the cameras and respect you, the audience, enough to know that you need to be entertained. The majority of fighters, if you're watching a weigh-in, will think that that is their job, is to stand on a scale and have that scale reflect a number. They believe that's their job, so they take their t-shirt and they get on the scale. They think they've done their part, and then you get somebody that's special, a Colby, a Tyson Fury in this case, an O'Malley, a McGregor, that's different, that believes that your time matters and that your entertainment purposes should be served. All right, great. So I just share that with Fury because I think that they bring that. I was disappointed the old man wasn't there. I would have loved to have heard him sing at the end of the night. But when he weighs 20 pounds more in a rematch than he did in the previous fight, a previous fight that did not go his way, there's not many things you can do in sport at a high level. There's not. When you get to that Tiger Woods or that Tom Brady, right? When you get to the World Championship fight, training camp is a term that the media appreciates. Well, he's in camp and he's working on, and then fill in the blanks. But you couldn't give me an example where you saw that with your own eyes. When you guys have guys that are main event and high level guys, and say they stay there for 5 years, just for example, you could go back and grab a tape at any point in those 5 years, they are going to look the exact same. There's not going to be a technique, a sequence, a combination, a strategy that you will find anywhere in those tapes that was different in a specific fight. It won't matter if he's fighting orthodox or southpaw, but there'll be an entire discussion worldwide that there is. If it's a rematch and he lost the first one, so he's going to come in and he's going to jab more and set up the power, and the power is going to go to the body instead of the head, and that was the mistake in the first fight. It's something you say. You couldn't actually go find me tapes of any fighter anywhere and show me a distinguishable, noticeable juxtaposition in the physical output. So what can you do? And every fighter knows this. This isn't new. Every top athlete knows this. So what is it that you can do? What can you do in the meantime and in between time? And that's where you start getting really critical for the really disciplined guys. They might be sleeping an hour more. They might do something to inconvenience themselves more. That's what Tyson Fury had to do. He's fought at the highest levels. He's been the highest level. He might be the greatest boxer ever. He didn't know what to do to inconvenience and make his life more. He just knew, I've got to pay a higher price. So he went into isolation. No TV, no magazines, didn't see his wife, didn't talk to his kids. I mean, he made himself miserable as a way of convincing himself, I have now paid a higher price. About the only thing that you can actually do at that level is attempt your level of fitness, your conditioning. It's about the only thing you can do. And if you ever go and grab a tape and you actually try to juxtapose, and I could have different trainers and different teams and a different million things that the media will write about, but if you watch the X's and O's, you're not going to see anything different. It will be so minor you won't even be able to pick it up with the human eye. So what can you do? How does a fighter gain confidence? If he hasn't gained a skill, if the opposition hasn't lost a weapon, why is it you could go back into battle and flip a result? And the number one answer is conditioning. I can't do this any better, but I can do more. Basic math says, if I'm playing basketball and in the last game I shot 8 shots, Basic math said if I can get 11 shots off this game, that's a really good chance that I have of winning. So you work on your level of fitness and you're locked down. And that's what the lockdown, that's what the discipline's about. And you're doing everything right. He gained 20 pounds. A fighter must be inconvenienced. He must be. A great athlete must be inconvenienced because he must believe that he deserves to win. And that is nothing more than a mental game. That is not an actual physical thing. We present it to you as physical. But it's a mental game. If the fighter's going to run 3 miles a day, if he runs those 3 miles at 3 in the afternoon, versus he runs the same amount of steps, but he does it at 5 in the morning, there is a massive difference, not a small difference. Now, those 3 miles might take him 22 minutes. Step for step, time for time, any physically thing that you could measure is dead even. It's not, though. It's not anymore. Because he has been inconvenienced. So Tyson Fury going into lockdown was not so that he'd throw more jabs or he'd hit the heavy bag more or his mind could be more on boxing. It was a mental game to inconvenience himself to make him that he paid a higher price and deserved to win. But I'm still come back to how is he 20 pounds more? And it is not a simple answer. It's not. Because you have physiology. Calories in versus calories out. If you're consuming more calories than you're burning than you did in the previous fight, why? Did you work less hard? Did you burn less calories or did you eat more? It's a very binary question. And it bothered me when Fury was heavier because I bought into the isolation. I bought into the inconvenience. I bought into the absolute laser focus. A rich man who could sleep in a mansion chose to do the opposite. He chose to sleep in the streets. Because he was so locked in and so serious. But then we have a test. We have two. We have the test that the judges do, and then we have a harder test that nobody gets credit for. It's the hardest test is the day before against the scale. And numbers matter. Guy goes in a weight room. Guy goes in all the time. Guy says that he got stronger. Well, it's quantifiable. Those weights have numbers on them. Is he pushing more numbers than he was previously pushing? And now you know if you got stronger. Conditioning, not far off. A 1 mile run, for example, which is the national standard. If you could do a 1 mile run in 9 minutes and you really worked on it and you trained on it, you go back and you do it in 7.5 minutes. You have demonstrated that you are physically more fit. That is the national standard. So when he comes in and he weighs more, it bothers me. I got a text message. It was from Kevin Ioli. I did a piece on Tyson Fury. I said, man, I'm disappointed. I'm flipping my pick. I was picking Tyson. I'm now picking Usyk. Turned out that I was right, but it was a hell of a fight. But Kevin Ioli corrected me on something, and Kevin was right. I just want to bring it to your attention. And he said, Chael, this is not the first time Tyson's done this. Tyson fought Wilder. It was a competitive fight. When Tyson rematched Wilder, he put on 20 pounds because strategically he thought he needed to be bigger to absorb punches, and he thought he could go bully him more. In the second match that Fury had with Wilder, he walked through him. He smashed him. So I appreciated Kevin's point. I want to bring that in as a correction, and I still don't have a final analysis. Like when I watch Tyson Fury, who weighed 20 pounds more, you're not going to go find a fighter who weighed 20 pounds more and look better. In fact, I'll give you a great example. For recent memory would be Ruiz. Ruiz goes out. He humiliates Joshua. I mean, there was an argument for Joshua to have to retire the first time that he fought Reese. He got put down 4 times. Ends up getting stopped by a guy that's a complete unknown. They go out and rematch, and Reese showed up. He was unrecognizable. He'd gained so much weight. He gained so much weight, he was unrecognizable. He goes from knocking Joshua down 4 times to he didn't win 4 combinations of the entire fight. So that number does matter. That number does play in. That number generally serves against you. But I do want to bring in Kevin Ioli's point that it's not the first time Tyson did it. It's the second time. And the first time Tyson did it, it did require a discipline. He worked really hard to gain that weight. He wanted that weight, and it turned out he managed it very well. I think that Fury fought very well against Usyk. I think it was razor thin. I think it was really close, but I do wish he'd weigh in on that. Does he wish now, in hindsight, does he wish that he wanted to come in 20 pounds? Because one thing that 20 pounds will do, it'll slow you down. There's no way around that. Your output will be less because you're carrying around more weight. And a little more output would have won that fight for Tyson Fury. And it's just an observation. Maybe it's even an apology. Made a pretty scathing piece on Tyson a week ago. I was really upset that he gained that weight, but then he went out and he fought with cardio. He fought with endurance. He fought like he had a plan. So maybe part of this is I'm trying to correct that. I did not know until Kevin told me that it's not the first time that Tyson's done it. But now that it is done, and Fury made it very clear he's not going to retire. He had the eye of the tiger. I mean, he was complaining about that decision in the back. Most guys are counting their money. I'm safe. I fooled the world and I won. That was not Tyson's stance. He had the eye of the tiger. But if that tiger's going to come back, I'm personally curious, goal-wise, before we get there, not when you get to the scale and then you retell the story. Well, I put on size. I see that you put on size, Tubby. I need to know ahead of time, was the goal to put on size, or did you miss a mark here? And I hope that someday he tells us. Does he personally like to fight heavier, or does he wish he was a little less?